What's up? Welcome back into Movement Parallels Life. It's great to have you here. My name's Kellen Mylad, and today's class is all about flow. This is an intermediate to advanced level practice. The movements that we're working with today are going to require a little bit more coordination and body control. Now, if you've been moving with me for a while, this should be no problem. But if you're new to the channel or a beginner with this style of movement training, this might not be the best place to start, but you can click the link in the top left corner for a beginner flow video. But if you're sticking around, let's do it. We'll start off with a warm-up series to mobilize your body and prep for the primary movements. Then we'll take some time to break down the primary movements before we put them together into a flow. Let's get started. Start off on hands and knees, and we'll begin with some basic spinal mobility. Work within your range of motion, flexing and extending your spine, coordinating the movements with your breathing. As you continue rounding and arching your spine, you might also start incorporating some forward and backward rocking. You might also start to add in some reaching movements, sweeping your arm through a full range of motion to bring more shoulder and thoracic spine mobility into the mix. Continue on with your spinal articulation for 15 more seconds. Next, we'll move on to hand and wrist stretches. Place your wrists close together and gently rock from side to side for about 10 reps. Next, place the backs of your hands on the floor, fingertips facing each other. Gently rock from side to side for 10 reps. Now place your hands flat on the floor. Press your knuckles down to the floor while you lift your palms into the stretch. Perform 10 reps. And then lastly, flip your palms around to face forward, coming into an open palm stretch for the last few seconds. Next, we'll work through some crawling progressions because you already know we're going to see some crawling variations in today's flow. We'll start with a basic crawl position static hold. Keep your arms locked out with elbow pits spun forward, shoulder blades protracted, hips and head at the same level, knees hovering low to the ground. While you hold this position, make sure that you're able to breathe deeply and turn your head freely. Anytime you need to, bring your knees to the ground for a short rest. Now re-engage your crawl position and gently begin to march your hands. Come down to your knees for a short rest and breathe. Tuck your toes and lift back up into your crawl position. Now we'll go one step further. Pick up your hand, press your support arm into the ground, and rotate to stack your shoulders on top of one another. And then one final progression here. Re-engage your crawl position. Pick up your opposite hand and foot. Pause for a moment of stability and then switch sides. Next, flip over and come into an inverted crawl position. Start off with another static hold, maintaining the position with locked out arms, long spine, and deep relaxed breathing. You can add a little bit more challenge to this hold by extending your legs. Again, you can lower your hips down to the floor at any time for a short rest. Next, re-engage the inverted crawl position and begin shifting your weight forward and backward. Next, lift your hips into full extension, pause for a moment, then sit your hips back between your hands and repeat. Lift your hips one last time, then shift your weight to one locked out arm, rotate to stack your shoulders, pause for a moment, and then switch to the other side. And now we've got one last movement in the warm-up series. Lie back to a supine tuck position. Roll to your side, placing your hip and lower leg on the ground. Sit up and draw your back leg back, completing your transition into a side sit. Lean to the side, roll onto your shoulder, then onto your back, and roll up into your side sit on the other side. Keep performing these alternating side sit sit-ups. Feel free to spend some time in that side sit position hunting around for the stretches that feel best for you. Take your time to make the transition slow and deliberate. Then as you get more comfortable, start to make your movements smoother and more natural. And really, this type of progression is going to be important throughout your flow practice. You'll take some time to learn the movements, and then through practice, start to refine them and make them smoother. All right, that's time, and our warm-up series is complete. Take a few more seconds to add in any additional movements or stretches that feel right for you while I give you an overview look at what's coming up in our primary series. We've got 5 elements coming up in our primary series. Each of these elements is going to be made up of compound movements. The first sequence that we're working with is the shifting push-up, deep squat, hip twist combination. We'll spend 75 seconds working the pattern, then take 15 seconds to rest and introduce the next pattern. Here we go. Let's build it up piece by piece. Start on your hands and knees, sit back to your hips, and then shift forward into a push-up. Then sit back and jump forward into a deep squat. Then jump back and perform an alternating twist, tapping each hip to the ground. Continue working with this pattern for the next 45 seconds, taking the time to make any adjustments or modifications to make it work for your body. You can perform the sequence as we've built it up, or add reps, improvise, and make it your own. That's time. Take 15 seconds to rest and reset. For our next pattern, we'll be transitioning between a basic crawl and a side sit hip swivel. Start off in a strong crawl position. Lift one hand and begin to rotate to stack your shoulders. Slide your opposite leg forward to transition into side sit. Post your support arm just outside your front leg. Lift your hips off the ground, slide your front leg back to crawl, and repeat on the other side. Next, slide into your side sit position. Keep your feet in contact with the ground as you swivel your hips from side to side. As you're ready, step back to your crawl position and repeat on the other side. Keep practicing for the next 40 seconds. Take 15 seconds to rest and reset. In our next set, we're combining our two crawling transitions, pass unders and rollovers. We'll start off working the pass under transition. Begin in an inverted crawl, find an opposite hand-foot balance, and draw your straight leg underneath your body to transition to foot-hand crawl. As you're practicing, remember your sequence here. Opposite hand-foot balance, rotate, and your leg is always passing underneath your body. Return to your inverted crawl position, and next let's look at the rollover transition. Reach across your body and shift your weight, pivoting on your same side arm and foot. When transitioning from face up to face down, lead the roll with the reach of your arm. When transitioning from face down to face up, lead the roll with the reach of your leg. Take the next 30 seconds to continue practicing these two transitions, making sure you can link them together seamlessly. That's time. Take 15 seconds to rest and recover, breathe deeply, and maybe perform some wrist stretches. Coming up in the next set, we've got crawling variations. Alright, here we go. Starting off with the foot-hand crawl. Keep your knees hovering low to the ground, arms locked out, spine long, and core strong. Coordinate your steps with opposite hand and foot. And whenever you wish, perform a transition and switch to inverted crawling. Again, keep your arms locked out and step with your opposite hand and foot. There are many little technical details to crawling, but at this point, I want you to not overthink it and simply crawl freely around your space. Maintain deep, relaxed breathing, bring your movement into all planes, and add in any modifications or adjustments that allow you to stay in motion. Keep on crawling for the next 35 seconds. That's time. Take 15 seconds to rest and reset. Alright, now we've got one more element to complete our flow. This next set is going to be more of an active recovery as you move through some kneeling mobility variations. We'll start off with some simple kneeling rotation reaches. From a comfortable low kneeling position, rotate through your shoulders, post your arm, and reach your free arm across your body, extending into the stretch. Alongside those rotation reaches, you can also add in hip rotations. Slightly splay your feet apart and shift your weight to one side to allow a free internal and external rotation of your opposite hip. Take the next 30 seconds to explore, improvise, play, and move around your space. Alright, that's time. Now take about 30 seconds to rest and reset. We've made it through all the movements. Now we're going to bring everything together for 2 consecutive rounds of flow. We'll be rotating through these 5 movement patterns every 20 seconds. I'll be calling out the switch. You set a baseline for the movements. Now it's time to let your body take the lead. Remember, it's not about perfection. It's just about staying in motion. We're starting off with shifting push-ups, deep squats, and hip twists. Let's go. Sit back, push up, hop to deep squat, jump back and twist. Switch, crawl to side sit swivels. Switch, pass unders and rollovers. Switch to crawling variations. Switch to kneeling rotations. And here we go, round 2, back to push-up, squat, twist. Make the switch, crawl to side sit swivels. Switch to pass unders and rollovers. Switch to crawling. And finish your flow with kneeling movements. That's time and your flow is complete. Excellent job. Let's take a few minutes to close up this practice with some light stretching. Settle in and we'll start off with a straddle long sit stretch. If it's difficult for you to sit upright in this position, try bolstering your hips with a pillow or rolled up blanket. Transition out of your straddle stretch and back to hands and knees for another round of spinal articulation. Next, after all that crawling, give your hands and wrists some love using any of the drills that we performed in our warm-up series. Next, transition to a prone position for a full or a forearm press up. Walk your legs in and transition into a frog stretch. Then walk your knees together, extend your arms, and finish with a shoulder stretch. And with that, our practice today is complete. Thank you so much for coming out to move with me. If you enjoyed this practice, show some love by hitting that like button, subscribing to the channel, and checking out the links below. Come back again soon and we'll do it again. In the meantime, take good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.